Hello, class. Welcome. Social media marketing, and there's a picture of a kitten. The internet is not only for cute kittens and cute dogs, but also social media. Although some would say that animals rule the internet, but today we're going to talk about social media and sharing pet pictures is always a good idea for some good content, especially if it's applicable to your brand or company. It's nice to have not only content that is selling your product or educating your product, but also it's fun to have just a fun content that people would enjoy, and it just kind of keeps the engagement, keeps your audience engaged and excited about what you're going to post next. So social media marketing. Let's just talk about some trends going on right now. I mean, most of you are familiar with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You got Snapchat, tons and tons of social media marketing channels. Pinterest is one. There's blogs. It goes on and on. But what are some things that are popular right now? Mobile. All social media websites get more traffic via mobile than they do any other than a desktop. For example. So when you are doing social media marketing, make sure your content, this type of things you're posting, look good on mobile and also desktop. This is back when Snapchat just came out with their Snapchat Spectacles, which are glasses that have built-in video cameras in it. Facebook Live was super big. A lot of live content in general is really big these days. And video content. We've seen as videos gotten larger. YouTube's getting bigger. Facebook Watch, which is Facebook's version of YouTube, is getting larger. Instagram's allowing longer videos. They now have Instagram TV was launched not too long ago. And so you see this kind of push towards video content. So I would say that's one of the biggest trends we're seeing right now in social media, which is pictures still do really well, but we're seeing people wanting that video content. And so brands, or if you're selling a product or service, your company needs to react in a way, needs to create that kind of content that's going to do well on these platforms. Now, the first question I want to answer is, where should I be spending time on social media? And my first advice is do not open a social media account that you will not be able to update regularly. I think it's better to not have any social media than to have social media that just gets updated once a month, because it looks like a ghost town. It looks like you're out of business. When picking your social media channels, look at the audiences. There's different age groups. Younger people use Snapchat, older people use Facebook. Some are more mobile friendly than others. Some are more professional. Some are more personal. Pinterest tends to be more woman focused, for example. So understanding where your audience is and where your product or service will shine is a good first question to ask yourself. And then the second question is, don't just open up a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, because that's a lot of work for you. You might want to pick one or two and really go deep into those, as I think your results will be better, just because you'll be more focused. You'll be able to grow an audience. So that would be my advice there as far as what platforms. And, who knows? By the time you saw this video, there might be new platforms out and new ways to be on social media. Now, content ideas. Now, I'm a fan of organic, meaning that these are just posts you post. It takes you time to make the post, but you're not actually boosting the post. You're not actually paying to do advertising. Now, advertising can work really well, especially on social media, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But for now, I think a good lesson for all of you, or something to think about, is what type of content can you make on social media? And I think that's one of the first things you should think about, which is what kind of content am I going to make? What kind of content will my fans or will my audience want me to make? So remember, we started out this whole class understanding that customers do want a relationship with their brand, or at least we're moving in that direction. So they want interactions. And two, they want to be part of a tribe. They want to be part of an audience. We talked about storytelling. And so you always want to be thinking about that. With social media, I think reading your comments on your YouTube videos or on your Facebook when people comment is really useful information, because that person had to actually sit there and type a comment and send it. So that person really cares about you. Where some other ways that customers interact with your brand might not be worth as much as far as their dedication and how much they're willing to give you. So that's why I say social media, are you listening? That would be, I don't have that on this this slide here, but are you listening to your customers? And social media gives you that opportunity to listen and gain feedback. So back to the content here. So Facebook Live video, that's a great way. Do it behind the scenes. Like, this is what it's like to work here, or this is what our assembly line looks like. You don't want to give away trade secrets, but just give them a little taste of what a typical day might be like. It doesn't always have to be professional. Think about inspirational, fun, and unique throwback pictures. So pictures from the history, what your building looked like a year ago. Do you remember? So throwback things in the past. You could do new products and teasers. Hey, we're working on a new flavor, or we're working on a new package. What do you think? So it's always good to maybe, before you release a new product or service, start teasing it. Are you ready? It will be here soon. You could do product giveaways. That's very common. And then give free advice or value. I think an example of this would be if I sold turkeys. We have Thanksgiving coming up. So if I sold turkeys, I might give away free recipes. And by giving away free recipes, people will share that content and I will get free publicity out of it, but I'm adding value. I'm giving the customer something they want. And because of that, they're more likely to follow me. They're more likely to share that content. So think about that. Q&A is always great, question and answer. Submit your questions and we'll answer them. You can always do storytelling, some drama, collaborations with other brands or other influencers. And I started talking about this already, is interact with your customers. Say hello, respond, thank them. Say we're hearing you, we're going to implement your changes. People like to hear that you care. Some B2B content ideas, so that's B2C, but B2B is what if you sell to other businesses. Some things are templates, like giving them useful, so template would be, for example, like a spreadsheet, like an already set up piece of asset that they can go and use somewhere else. I've seen, sales companies give you free sales templates on how to make a sales call. And that's really informative. It's free education, basically. Infographics, you could Google that. Those are like really visual learning opportunities that take a lot of data and make it simple to digest. You can do email marketing. You can leverage your offline with your online. So, for example, if you're at a trade show, you should have an email sign up there or a like us on Facebook sign up so that all your efforts offline are also helping your online. You could do a blog, talk about specifics, teach people something, and then you can also advertise as well. So as far as advertising, typically you pay per click or you pay per 1,000 views, and here's two examples of that. And so the advantages of a lot of this is you could target your customers in social media. Like you can just target specific age groups. You pay for performance versus like a TV ad where you pay $10,000 and then you wait and you see did it work or did it not. And it's often hard to track. With social media advertising, you can track it. You can see who actually bought something. Retargeting, where somebody goes to your website and then they add something to the cart and then they leave. You could still track them and keep sending them ads so that they eventually do buy your product or service. There's not many advertising platforms that can do that. And then on top of all this, whether you're advertising or not, there's a ton of free built-in analytical tools, both on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Analytics for your websites. And so you get rich data about demographic information about your customers. How often are they visiting? How long are they staying on your website? Are they buying? Are they not? It's just so incredible. This is an entire class talking about social media marketing. So I'm just doing a brief overview of just the advantages of it. Now the disadvantages obviously are it's going to take you time, or you're going to have to hire someone to do all this work for you. It's not easy and it takes time. So either you're going to pay someone to do it or you're going to use your time to do it yourself. So what do people look at? You could look at how many page views, how many visitors, unique visitors, how long they stay on your website, the click-through rate, so how many people looked at the ad versus actually clicked it, or looked at your post versus actually clicking it. There's many, many ways that you can measure social media marketing. So some brands doing it well. I always look at fast food brands. One of the ones that I like to just shout out is Wendy's. Wendy's didn't take the traditional route. If you look at a lot of Wendy's tweets, they're kind of sassy. Like they make fun of people, but in a friendly way, and they're bold. And I think that's really paid off with their brand because you get people talking about it and sharing the word, and that's just free publicity. That's free advertising. Every time you're talked about in the public. So really good job. Taco Bell using user-generated content. So that's content that, for example, Susie, who's a customer of yours, she posts a picture on Twitter and she tags Taco Bell, like getting my lunch on with my burrito and my hot sauce. And Taco Bell retweets that. Taco Bell didn't need to make that content. The content was actually created by the customer. And so reusing user-generated content is a great way for you to it saves you time, and it's more authentic content. It's content that your customers are making. So these are just some examples of companies who are using creative ways to grow their audience and grow their social media. So what are some takeaways? Remember your customers first. Don't think that your social media is all about you. Think about how are you going to make a social media experience that your customers are going to actually care about, that your audience is going to actually care about. The other thing is it's a marathon, not a sprint. A lot of students come up to me and say, how do I get 1,000 followers? And I say, don't worry about the numbers. That doesn't mean much because you can buy followers and it's a waste of money. You want to build an audience that's engaged. I'd rather have 100 engaged audience than 1,000 people that probably skip over my content all the time. And so remember, it's going to take some time to get there, years often, but you do need to put in the work. That's not to say if you set it and forget it. It's more of you have to continually grow. It's like a garden. You have to water it. You have to add some sunshine to it. But as days and days and months go by, sooner or later you'll start seeing some fruit there, some vegetables there, and it'll make it'll start to show. You'll actually get something for all your labor. So break the mold. As you saw with Wendy's, they did something different than nobody else was doing. You can see this with a lot of musicians. They do something different than not all other musicians are doing. I feel like the people that are bold, that try something new versus follow everything else, tend to reap that reward. So think about how can you do things a little differently. One of the assignments in the class was watch the TED Talk on Tribes by Seth Godin. He's exactly right on in how you want to grow your social media marketing. And then lastly, stop waiting and start. I find a lot of students or people working in a company, they just procrastinate and they're like, oh, we'll make a Facebook next week or we'll do it the following week. And it never happens. A lot of it is just creating it and pushing the content out. The content doesn't have to be amazing. You got to try. And by trying, you'll fail. And by failing, you'll learn. And then you'll have some success. And you can build from that success. And that's really how it looks. It's going to be this kind of up and down of success, failure, or success, maybe not so successful. But over time, you'll be winning. So stop waiting and start.